Imagine how crazy it is when you're being lectured about violence, literally from the attorney general that's over Chirac. He cannot only he can't protect his city, he cannot protect his own community, his own children, but ICE is the problem. Utterly ridiculous. But let's go ahead and take a listen.
Tear gas, chemical weapons, rubber bullets, masked men carrying semi-automatic rifles and instruments of war.
As if the streets of Chirac are not if not the gangsters are even more heavily armed than that. There's more firepower in Chicago, in the hoods, than there are in most developed countries in the Middle East. That's how much weapons, that's how dangerous it is. That's how many people are being slaughtered every night. We had to send in the National Guard just to keep his people, the descendants of slaves, to keep them from exterminating each other every single evening. The reason we've had the sharpest decline in murder in this country is because Trump sent in the National Guard to cities that are dominated by the descendants of slaves. But I keep telling people this. They have been indoctrinated to hate America, but not just America, to hate white people in general. These people want their revenge. And I think right now they're going for it. Right now they see there's an opening. They see there's a weakness. And it's kind of like, you ever seen a mob that's trying to get into a building and somebody finds an open door and then everyone just rushes in at once, hoping to just overwhelm the security? That's what's happening right now. The descendants of slaves are attaching themselves to every single person that has a grievance against Trump or the administration for just applying and enforcing American laws that have already been on the books for generations. They don't care about that. They want revenge. They're going to blame slavery and Jim Crow. It's just evil. They want revenge. And just give them an excuse. That's all. It doesn't matter why. So when you're listening to this, understand this is not coming from his heart or his safety for the community. This is for revenge. And he wants war. But the problem is they're chicken shit and they're scared. They're scared of armed men who believe in the Constitution, which is why they spent billions using propaganda to demoralize you, to make you feel less than for just being an American. If you have resisted that and you support ICE and you support our president, then you're going to be immune. But unfortunately, your children will not. That's why this is going to be a civil war, but it's not going to be unique. It was brother against brother in the 1800s. The first civil war was brother against brother. Now it's going to be brother against brother who wants to be your sister. Still the same difference. It's family on family. And right now, this is how the sides are being divided. They're using your heartstrings to manipulate you. You have to be smarter and stronger than this.
As they intimidate, harass, and assault. These hallmarks of a war zone seen on movie screens have no place in an American city.
Then how do they have a place in your city of Chicago? Every goddamn night. Every night your city is a war zone. Who the hell are you to talk to us about Minneapolis, you bald bastard? Shut the man.
Much less at a daycare center, courthouses, in our neighborhoods, or outside our children's schools. When I took my oath to serve as the Illinois Attorney General, I swore to uphold and defend the United States and Illinois constitutions.
Then why have you not applied any of this to the streets of Chicago, of Chirac? Why have you not done anything in your own city? It's because they see the people, they see the gangsters, they see the violent people in Chicago as potential weapons to use in the future when the fighting starts against their political enemies. That's why they are reluctant to speak down on them. And that's why they're reluctant to arrest them and throw the book at them. because one day they are going to need them. It's their army.
I could never have envisioned standing here today defending the rule of law and our state's sovereignty against attacks by the United States government. But I will not hesitate or shy away from protecting our state, even from our own federal government. Because
this is Civil War talk. This is civil strife talk. And make no qualms about it. He's not going to get out there and bust a grape. He's going to ask you to send your kids to do it. The beautiful thing is no one takes people like him seriously. There's nobody that's going to say, oh, hey, the guy who did a really bang up job making Chicago safe again, let's listen to him. Because he doesn't have the track record of being successful at what he does. He could not even protect his own city. But now you want to criticize the government for doing a better job than you did? Spare me.
Because since September, the state of Illinois has faced an incursion of uniformed, military-trained personnel carrying semi-automatic firearms and military-grade weaponry.
We're just trying to match the black residents in Chicago. That's all we're trying to do. You know, the boys over in K-Town, the ones out west, the ones downtown, the ones with switches. We're just trying to match that energy. You want us to be disarmed. You think we're fools. We know better. We know the descendants of slaves hate everything this country stands for, and they want to watch it burn and collapse, even if they are in it. We're better off removing their birthright citizenship and sending them home, because this isn't going to work. If they're calling for civil war, they must be repatriated. They must, if you're calling for a civil war against the government, you must have your citizenship removed. You can no longer be welcome here. I could not go to another country, or nobody in another country can call for civil war against their own nation's leadership. It's not, that's different than, protesting and saying, hey, we need to change our policies and, getting people to vote for you and going about it in a democratic way. They want war through power because they can't win on the arguments. His arguments protect criminals, people that hunt kids, murderers. None of his policies are in favor of people that are law-abiding citizens. People like him, the descendants of slaves, they see, if you're a law-abiding citizen, they see that as being white. They see crime as being black. They protect their own. It's a cult. You have to understand who the people you're fighting against really are. You can't be confused about it at all. You have to accept them for who they really are.
These Border Patrol agents and ICE officers have acted as occupiers rather than officers of the law, as they have rampaged through the Chicago area, arbitrarily interrogating and arresting residents and attacking them with chemical weapons. The repeated invasions of private property, wrongful arrests, illegal interrogations, and violent confrontations have not made our city or state safer.
Yeah, neither did electing you as Attorney General. You failed. The problem is, if you entrench yourself with a bunch of Marxists and communists around you, you can remain in power indefinitely, no matter how bad of a job you do. Because the people at the bottom are going to be so poor that they're not going to want to let their little bit of an edge they have go. See, they're kept on the bottom, but you'll speak to them and make them feel like they're better than they are. Because you've ran out all the business owners, and now everyone just depends on you in the city for their food and for their shelter, all your socialist programs. This is all just to make you dependent. But the problem is they need the illegals because there's too many of the descendants of slaves that took that vax that are dying. They need their illegals to replace those people and create warm bodies. That's not happening. You got self-deportation and you have active ICE diminishing those numbers day by day. Plus, his community is dying, all of them. So their whole power structure is failing. That's why they are so desperate enough to literally do press conferences calling for a war that they don't really have a chance to win. The sad part is like they know they're going to lose either way it goes, but they don't want to go. They don't want to die by themselves. They don't want to go out without a fight. So they're trying to do what they can to get others to fight in their stead, and it's not going to work. There will be some, but not enough. A lot of, I watch all the threads. I watch TikTok. I watch all the social media platforms. All in all, 70-30. 70 in favor of Trump and ICE, 30% against, because that 30% is made up of people that want to see this place burn. Not because they wanted to see it do better. They just want to see it go away. They hate the place they choose to live. It's because they're spoiled. Too much freedom, too much assistance. It made them weak. It confused them. They don't understand the real world. They've never lived outside the warm borders of this country. So they don't have a respect for what's been built here. The same way a spoiled child would never have any respect for the company his father built if all he did was just give him money and you didn't have to actually go there and do the work to maintain it. There's nothing new under the sun, and we're watching everything just repeat.
However, they have made our residents fearful as they go about their daily routines. The sweeping raids and indiscriminate violence against Illinois residents has not only been condoned by the leaders of ICE.
Hey, Damage, what's up, brother? Yeah, I try to get on here late night. I take a nap in the late afternoon, then I get up and then I'm able to come online and talk, have these conversations. Not a lot of people on right now, so it's like not tons of competition, but I can just, sit up here, have these conversations and go through all these other, because what I do is throughout the day, I find topics and I get everything prepared and then I just save them for later. And I have so many and I'm long-winded. So I'll be on here and it'll supposed to be a short topic. Next thing you know, it's 2 hours long. And I'm like, I could have done like 4 or 5 short segments in that time. So I'm working on time management, but I'm glad that you're here. And, I appreciate you tuning in. This topic right here is crazy because I don't know if you've noticed, but the people that hate Trump the most and they hate the Republic and they hate law enforcement, there's a pattern. They're all either black or gay. Every single one. From this attorney general in Chicago to the sheriff, little midget, plump black woman in Philadelphia, they're all either black, gay, or both. Or both. Because there's no way you can be a self-respecting man with a wife and children, but you defend crime, because what about if your wife or your children become victims of that crime that you're defending? And that's what this man is doing right here. So we're watching this play out, but there is a war coming and these are our enemies. This is what they look like. He's not on our side, but they identify themselves ahead of time. We're able to identify them. That way there's no mix-ups or friendly fire. Problem is with a civil conflict, we all speak English. We know the terrain. We're all citizens, but we're not all Americans. You and I are Americans. He is not. He is from a different country. He's from African America, a multicultural democracy. You and I are from the United States, a constitutional republic. 2 different countries on one single landmass. We live in different worlds. That's why they're always talking about defending their democracy, but we've never been a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. They live in their own, in Chicago's a multicultural democracy. So is New York. Look at Mondami. So is Los Angeles. So is Memphis. The worst run cities in the country are multicultural democracies where they hook people on social programs that drain their economies so that they can keep control and they can entrench their power. That's what this man is fighting for. With us removing the illegals and his people passing away from the vax, the Democrats are losing more numbers than they can sustain nationwide. They already knew there was going to be a mass die-off from the vax. Remember, 2026 is year 5. It's already began. They were anticipating an uninterrupted flow of new Americans from other countries that they could pay for their votes. That's been interrupted. And now these people are fighting for their political lives. And that's how we got to where we are right now.
U.S. and Customs and Border Protection, more of it has been demanded. Today, my office is taking significant action to put an end to federal agents' lawlessness in the state of Illinois. Along with the city of Chicago, I have filed a lawsuit against U.S. Department of Homeland Security and its leadership, U.S. Immigration and Customs and Enforcement and its leadership, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection and its leadership.
File all the lawsuits you want. I could use the extra TP to wipe my ass with. That lawsuit means nothing. See, during times of peace, we would humor, flagrant, frivolous lawsuits, and we would pretend like they mean something. We'd have a hearing. We are not in those times anymore. Humoring these people is how we ended up in the position we're in now. Now we're in the time of ignore and we move forward on a mission. And our mission will not be stopped. Not by the descendants of slaves, not by gays, not by trans, and those are and not by illegals. And those are pretty much the only groups that are antithetical to our mission here in the United States. Our mission here is for tomorrow. Tomorrow where our children can live in a resemblance of the United States that we grew up in 20, 25 years ago. Before Obama, before the push for the LGBT, before all the race stuff, the country we used to live in. We are returning back to a pragmatic, grounded society with a Christian moral framework and a respect for the Constitution. We are not going to lose our country because I'll be honest with you, they don't have a plan. They just want everything to go away. Now, my advice to them is always, since you want to live in lawlessness, relocate to another country. There are places in Africa where there are no laws. There's no ICE, there's no Trump, there's nobody white to blame all your problems on. Leave. Either that or, we know how this story ends. It ends the way Renee's story ends. See, we have a military, we have an army, and we have children to fight for. These people want children, but not for the same reasons we want them. See, we want them because we love them. We give birth to them. They hunt them. They see them as sexual objects. They don't want to protect children. This whole civil war it's all basically about kids and access to kids anyway. With ICE breaking up all the trafficking of young children and saving them and removing these illegals that traffic them, they took a big hit in that industry, which was apparently billions of dollars annually in the United States, trafficking human children from across the border. They bring them up from Central and South America. They get them to the United States and there was a market for them. And then after a while, the kids come up missing. But just like other illegals in the country, they don't have an identity, no social security card, no birth certificate. So there's nobody to really miss them. We can't allow that to happen. Actually, I just watched the video where we just saved a child tonight, actually. Let's see here. I just posted the video on Right Wing Rico. And this is what our brave men and women of law enforcement are doing for us. And that's why we have to get out there and defend them all the way.
Que este niño no debe estar aquí. Que estás trayendo a este niño ilegalmente. Lo quiero escuchar de ti, que ya sabes. Tú sabes lo que estás haciendo, señora.
This originated out of Cochise County, where a child trafficker ran by the criminal cartels, trafficking up through my county into Pinal County, where your deputies work alongside the Cochise County Sheriff's Department interdiction team and trafficking unit, brought justice for this little boy.
This is one little boy. There were hundreds of thousands of them brought across the border under Biden-Harris. Out of roughly 300,000 estimated, we've only been able to locate 40,000. We don't know where the other 260,000 children went. We don't know. There were whistleblowers that work for DHS, and they said that they purposely were delivering children to homes of people that they knew were sex traffickers of children or people that had records. And they were still allowing these people to sign up to be like fosters when you come here, a sponsor. And they would have people who they knew were pedophiles or people that hurt children, that have histories, and they would let them sign up to be sponsors, and they were just bringing kids and dropping them off. We don't know what happens to those children. We know that they go back to do a welfare check in a few months, and the people would claim the children went away. They ran away. But these are 4 and 5 and 6-year-old kids. We don't really know what happened to them. The same thing used to happen in Russia. Gay families from the West, from the UK, France, the United States, they would go and adopt Russian kids. Russia would send its own liaisons to go check on these these children that were adopted. And when they would get to these countries, the people, the gay couples would look and say, what kid? We don't have any kid. And they're like, no, we have the records. You came and adopted this child in St. Petersburg, in Moscow. And they'd be like, what kid? So that's why the Russians banned certain people from being able to adopt. You can't be a gay couple and adopt from Russian orphanages anymore. We have the same problem here in the United States. Trump, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, DHS were all addressing that issue. But there are people in these other states that are getting in the way because this is their bread and butter. This is their sole purpose of being in government. This is what they're hiding. So the mission is clear, and we must stay the course no matter what. Yeah, damage. It is super crazy. I'll be honest with you. You know, I didn't know about this until Trump told me about it. I remember I used to hate Trump. And I remember one of my friends in LA, you know, he was like, I was like, yeah, Trump's terrible. And they were like, what's your problem with Trump? And these are other men. We're like in person. It's like, what's your problem with Trump? Ask me to my face. What's your problem with Trump? You know how embarrassed I was that I couldn't even tell him my own personal grievance? Here I am, an adult man, saying how much I hate another adult man, but I couldn't tell you why. And then I was wondering, well, where am I getting my idiotic thoughts from? And then I realized there were 2 gay men on TV, a tube on the wall with lights and bubbles and plasma. I let 2 gay men that projected on that screen convince me of what to not to just think about my country, but to think about my president and also shape some of my opinions about the world. 2 men, one's man's name was Anderson Cooper. One man's name was Don Lemon. They live completely different lifestyles than me, and they live in completely different universes. Why would I take advice or listen to them? I had to course correct. Also, when the lockdown came after that, and I saw what happened to my friends that lived in other countries that I thought was just as free as America, they're also freedom of speech. They have all the same rights. They just don't have guns. And when I saw what they did to my friends during the lockdown in Melbourne, Australia, in the UK, in Germany, then while I was out here partying and getting drunk and hanging out in Vegas and going to clubs still, I had to leave California to do all that, but I had the option to go to another state. My friends were trapped in these nations. When I seen what happened to them, that's when I understood how important and how elite the United States is and how special this country is. There is no other place like it. There's nowhere to go if this country falls. If we let the descendants of slaves convince us to let this place turn to dust, there's nowhere else for us to go. This is it. This is the last bastion of freedom. There's countries that are close, but who knows how long it's going to be before the descendants of slaves go down there and destroy those places. If they can do it here, they can do it anywhere, right? So that's why we fight, and this is what we're here for. Like and subscribe, share the video. Let me know your thoughts. This is an important topic to me, but just to see someone from a city as fucked up as Chicago giving us a lecture on how violent armed ICE agents are, when you literally have 15-year-old boys driving around with AK-47s in your city and you want to lecture ICE? Go to hell, milk dud head. Look, follow the page, like the channel. I'll be back with another topic in 20 minutes. Remember, it's America first and America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.